Yeah.
I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won.
Yeah.
I hope my team they won.
Yeah. Man.
I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won.
Yeah.
I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Welcome to Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I hope everybody is doing great. Give me 1 second, guys. There we go. I'm David L. Rhodes. It looks like I'm going to be going solo for the majority of the show, if not the entire show. Brandon King might be able to make an appearance. You know, Tariq Wilson and Jeffery Johnson is on assignment. I hope you guys are having a phenomenal week. It is Wednesday. It's less than 24 hours prior to the NFL draft, which has pretty much been my focal point this week. For those who don't know, I cover the Carolina Panthers. Do a weekly show on Tuesdays. I go live every week. But you know, draft week we do a 3-day extravaganza where we go over every single pick and talk about some of the free agents that get picked up as well. So for this show, it might be a shorter show than normal. We'll go over the news and then we'll probably have some discussion points about some of the players that could potentially get drafted. But let me go ahead and run through the intro. Welcome to episode 652 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU diaspora, all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture and HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU's athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, I'm not a doctor at all, David L. Rhodes, along with my co-host Brandon King, Tariq Wilson, and Jeffery Johnson, who are all on assignment right now. And there's some very important assignments that they're doing. We are filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to our KCOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. One of the big stories of this week, we could talk about the MEAC announcing their weekly softball honors, because South Carolina State senior Taylor Ames Alexander has been named the MEAC softball player of the week. Howard rookie Lauren Jones was named the rookie of the week, and Howard's Amina Ballinger and Delaware State's Kristen White were named co-pitchers of the week. Ames Alexander recorded a .667 batting average, going 8 for 12 at the plate, helping the Bulldogs sweep the series against the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. She tallied 6 runs with 6 RBIs while hitting 1 double, 2 triples, and 2 home runs, adding 9 putouts and 8 assists. In the opening game of the series, Ames Alexander blasted a triple and a home run as her 2 hits in the game. She followed with 3 hits in game 2, coming up a double shy of completing a cycle. That is awesome. She ended the series with 3 hits, including the double in the 5-4 win with 2 runs scored and an RBI. Jones registered 5 runs on 4 hits at 8 at bats while helping the Bison to a 4-0 week. Yeah, they swept those Bears. Oh boy. Jones recorded 2 RBIs, 5 runs, 1 home run, 3 stolen bases, and 4 putouts in 4 games. In the series finale against Coppin State, she scored 3 runs with 2 stolen bases and 2 putouts. Jones registered her first collegiate home run in the series finale against Morgan State, aiding the Bison in an 11-0 win, which was a mercy rule victory from what I understand. Ballinger pitched a complete game 5-inning no-hitter, surrendering no runs in the series finale against Coppin State. She tallied 6 strikeouts and 17 batters faced. The no-hitter was the first by a Howard pitcher since 2022. Shout out to her. And White pitched a complete game shutout to open the series against the school down the road, surrendering 4 hits while striking out 8 batters. I almost got caught there. I almost got caught up there. So congratulations to those young ladies getting it done in softball. Shout out to Howard. It looks like they're pretty much a series away from clinching the regular season title from the MEAC. I think Norfolk State is like the only ones that have a legitimate shot to catch up to them, but I anticipate that they'll probably get it done when they have their series against Norfolk State. So shout out to the Howard Lady Bison with regards to that. The A&T had their Aggie Invitational over the weekend. They had their annual track meet. I had some professional track stars there, track athletes there during that period of time. And one of the young ladies ended up winning the CAA Field Player of the Week. Spirit Morgan. So shout out to her. She ended up doing a jump that was good for night. I think during the weekend it was 6th, but then by the end of the weekend it ended up being 9th in the nation. So shout out to her. I wanted to read the details. I'll bear with me 1 second. My internet is not being healthy with me right now, unfortunately. For those who are new here, make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel. So yeah, Morgan had a career moment at the Aggie Invitational. The senior high jumped 6 feet to mark her first place performance with a personal best mark and move her to a 3-way tie for 9th in the nation. Morgan's jump is the second best in the NCAA East region and in the CAA so far this season. One thing that I've, and shout out to her on that. One thing I've learned being in the CAA, particularly with track and field, is that it's very important that you got to have some good field performances to have a shot to win a team title. And in the past, the A&T track team tended to be more sprint focused. We just 1, 2, 3, 4 events, and then actually do damage in the NCAAs doing the same thing. But to win a CAA title, you gotta have some balance across everything, because that's what the other teams within the conference has, like Monmouth and Northeastern and things of that sort. I think the Aggie men has a legitimate shot to win the outdoor title, just like they won the indoor title. And I think the Lady Pirates have a shot to win the women's title, like they did in the indoor title as well for the outdoor side of the fence. But I think the A&T ladies has a shot to be competitive. But I think they have been performing better outdoor than indoor so far this season. So shout out to them. She's not the first female to win the Field Athlete of the Week. Julia Noso has also won it twice. And for the Track Athlete of the Week, we've had one Aggie to win it as well. And for the men has been doing a pretty good job winning the Track Athlete of the Week and the Field Athletes of the Week. For both, they've won it twice so far during the season. They did not win it this week, but I'm pretty sure they'll have a lot of opportunities to do so. They won it last week for the great performance they had at the Florida relays. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this first break. When we return, I want to talk about the NFL draft a little bit, talk about some of the HBCU prospects within that draft, and my thoughts on who I think is going to possibly get drafted, who could potentially get drafted, and also talk about some of the other undrafted free agents with regards to that. So we'll be right back right after this first commercial break.
Let's face it, shopping for insurance can be time-consuming. That's why when it comes to your auto, home, and life insurance needs, make things simple and trust the experts at Allstate. They will help you get the coverage that fits your needs while helping you bundle your life, home, and auto policies. Bundling saves you money, sure, but it also saves you time, so you can enjoy the things that matter most even more. Contact me, Tammy Haynes, your local agent, for a free personalized insurance quote. Allstate, are you in good hands?
There's a shot. It might be. It could be. Right field. Grand slam. What a shot. That's how you get hot, young fella.
Thank you, guys, for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do, and all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball, So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
That was a hilarious tease, but welcome back to episode 652 of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. So we got the NFL draft starts tomorrow. Round 1 is tomorrow. Round 2 and 3 is Friday, and rounds 4 through 7 is Saturday. Couple things about the draft. The first thing I would like to say, just for clarity's sake, is that just because you do not get drafted does not mean you cannot make a 53-man roster. Matter of fact, there's a decent chunk of players who are undrafted that makes a lot of players who are undrafted or have been drafted 4th round or later. About 60% of the players in the league are 4th to 7th round draft picks and undrafted free agents. So I say all that to say is just because you did not get drafted doesn't mean your opportunity is over. You definitely can still get your opportunities with undrafted free agency, and sometimes, depending on how things fall, that might be the best place to be. Like, I think if you're not, and this is just my opinion with speaking on this, I think if you're not a 4th or a 5th round pick, I think I would rather be a UDFA, undrafted free agent. Preferably a preferred undrafted free agent, because if you're preferred undrafted free agent, you tend to make more money than the 7th round picks and the 6th round picks. Because a lot of times a lot of teams tend to go grab players of need, because during the draft the philosophy is best player available, but sometimes it's about drafting need. And I have a co-host that just made it into the building. I want to make sure he's good to go before I bring him in here. So I'm gonna wait till you get himself situated with the camera, and I'm gonna bring him in before I start this discussion point regarding the NFL draft. There he is. Oh, he had to leave. All right, he'll be back. So Brandon is here. So hopefully Brandon gets situated and he comes in. But overall, it's going to be interesting to see who ends up making it and getting drafted. Like I think I know. Shout out to Brian Fulford from the ONG Striker Zone. He has set the line to 1.5 when it comes to how many NFL players get drafted. There's some people who think there will be 2. There's some people that think there's going to be 3. I think it's probably going to be 1. And part of it is because I think the nature of the NFL draft nowadays is more, it's the P4 draft. And it's not, I don't think it's I think it's more of a P4 draft, and they tend to go after players that are in the FCS and G5 in the undrafted free agent pool, so to speak. Do I agree with it? No, but that's just the reality of what the numbers are. But I will say this, based on the way that the data is trending, FCS players have tend to be pretty consistent across the board over the years. G5 has taken a nosedive. My man Zach McKinnell from FCS Football Central believes, and I believe Gerald does as well. He believes that FCS players are going to get drafted more than the G5 counterparts. So for those who don't know who the G5 is, those are the FBS conferences that aren't part of the Power 4 or the Power 5, or you want to include the Pac-12. It's the American AAC and Sun Belt and all these other conferences that are considered FBS, but they're not considered Power 5 conferences. So the belief is that the folks within the players within FCS have a better shot in getting drafted than the G5 counterparts. Yep, that's a perfect example. I mean, because the goal is to make the 53, and there's 7th and 6th round picks that get cut every year. Some get traded, some get cut because there's only 53 slots. They're going to take the 53 best players. Now, if you get drafted in the 4th or 5th round, then that's a whole different scenario with that regard. But overall, it's about making the 53, and we have some phenomenal talent in the HBCU ranks. And we're going to discuss some of them. Last year, if I recall correctly, I don't think anybody got drafted, but we ate in the undrafted free agency pool. And somebody can correct me wrong, but if I recall, I don't think anybody got drafted. But I think we're going to get somebody this year. And I think there's a lot of factors involved when you start having discussion points about if they can get drafted or not. And a lot of that ultimately boils down to position as well. So the top three, the 3 players I think that have a legitimate shot to get drafted are Robin McDaniel from Jackson State, Elijah Williams from Morgan State, and Carson Vinson from Alabama A&M. I think those 3 guys has a shot to get drafted, but I only anticipate only one of them to get drafted. And the guy that I think that's going to get drafted is Carson Vinson from Alabama A&M. And part of the reason why I think that is due to the fact that he has showed up and showed out he showed up at the Senior Bowl and he showed out. I think he's done a phenomenal job during this offseason run towards the draft. I think he's shown everything. He's getting a lot of buzz with the NFL, with the scouts in the NFL. And I think it's going to be more of a situation of they rather not have to try to bid him and being a preferred undrafted free agent. So I think a team is just going to make the decision to go get him. I wouldn't be shocked if Elijah Williams and Robert McDaniel get drafted. However, I think that it's going to be a little bit more difficult because of how deep the position is, particularly in the secondary and the safety position that Robert McDaniel plays. I think that position is very deep, and because of that, I think it's going to be difficult for him to break through. Like typically, when you have a position that's pretty deep, it's very difficult for FCS players and HBCU players to get drafted. Now, that being said, I expect him to be a preferred undrafted free agent, and I wouldn't be shocked if McDaniel gets drafted because he's gotten a lot of buzz as well. Now, as for Elijah Williams, he's a defensive lineman. He's another guy that that position is very deep. So it's going to be difficult. And it's funny because I said earlier in the show, I do a Panthers podcast. We did a mock draft for the Panthers, and I took Elijah Williams in the 7th round. I was hoping to get Vincent, but he wasn't there by the time of our 7th round pick. And that was a mistake on my part because I thought we had a pick that was going to be within the range of where Vincent should go. And he ended up getting drafted. All right, I'm trying to see if Brandon's in good shape. I'm not sure if he is or not. All right, I'm gonna boot him out for a minute. I'll shoot him a message real quick. Let's see here. I might take another break and see if we can get him back on. Matter of fact, you know what? That's exactly what I'm going to do. When we return, hopefully Brandon will be able to get in, and we'll finish this discussion point about the NFL prospects. So we'll be right back after this short break.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KeversVoice.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit HBCUPrideJoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Welcome back to Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, and I'm hoping that Brandon is here, even though he might be in circles. Brandon, can you hear me, sir? Oh no, he's still in circles. All right. We're gonna let him go real fast. Oh yeah, there's no question about that. It's sometimes better. It always is better to be I think it's always better to be an undrafted free agent, a priority undrafted free agent, because that means you got multiple teams that want you, which means they're gonna have to get those bonuses high up there. And like a lot of folks don't realize, when it comes to the National Football League, the bonuses is where they ultimately get paid. And those are pretty big bonuses, particularly for a 6th or a 7th round pick. That's a big bonus. So I absolutely think it is. And then you can bring yourself back on the negotiating table and go from there. But yeah, so let's talk about some of these guys, man. Like I want folks to, I want to have a discussion, and hopefully Brandon will be able to make it in with us. He's still working through that right now. When you talk about Robert McDaniel, man, he can play all 3 levels on the defensive at safety. So he's flexible in that regard, which is a good thing, especially in the National Football League. They can just plug and play you, so to speak. He had a 8.84 relative athletic score. Shout out to Math Bomb. He on Twitter, he does this thing called a relative athletic score that takes everything from height, weight, speed, all the normal measurables that they do, and he comes up with the relative athletic score. And the 8.84 is really, really high. Like if you're 8 and up, you're sitting pretty. If you're like a 9 and above, that's like all pro type stuff. And Mr. McDaniel was sitting at an 8.84, which is really good. He can definitely help the team right away. And I always talk about special teams, and he can definitely play special teams in a pinch. So I do like Robert McDaniel a lot. I just think he's a victim of his position being very deep this year in this draft class. I mean, sometimes, like I said prior to the break, sometimes that is a big factor in that regard. And the next guy is Elijah Williams. Another situation where it's a deep class. He's a versatile player as well on the defensive line. And I always say this, when it comes to winning championships in the National Football League, it's about the trenches. It always boils down to the trenches. He weighs 290, he's 6'2", 290 pounds. Like I like, so he's got the NFL size. He's got a relative athletic score 8.27. He can definitely be a rotational guy on the front seven. So when you talk about Elijah Williams from Morgan State, he's a phenomenal prospect. I hope he gets drafted. I just think the depth of the position, but he's definitely going to be a priority undrafted free agent. Like I absolutely believe that. I think he's going to be a priority undrafted free agent from that regard. Because I think he's going to do wonders in this league. I truly believe that. I think he's going to be special. A guy that my Panthers bias is kicking in, a guy that I wouldn't be mad at if we decided to take a flyer on him at the end of the draft. And the last guy I think that has a legitimate shot to get drafted, who I think is going to get drafted, is Carson Vincent. I believe he has the highest class. Alabama offensive lineman is at a premium in this draft. There's some pretty good ones near the top of the draft, but there isn't that many. Like it falls off pretty fast after after a couple prospects. So at that point, that gives Vincent an opportunity. During the Senior Bowl, he was out here dominating against power four opponents, power four defensive linemen. So he held his own in the Senior Bowl, and that opened the eyes of NFL prospects. Then he showed up he got the invite to the combine, and he showed up and showed out. 8.07 relative athletic score, but you're an offensive lineman, so I'm not that concerned in that regard for an offensive lineman. But he has a legitimate shot to make a team and legitimately and make the 53-man to make the 53 roster and get drafted. I like his game, very, very versatile from that regard. And because Alabama A&M scheduled power four opponents, a lot of NFL teams did get to see him play. So it was really good with that regard. Now there's some other guys that is going to be in that high-end undrafted free agent level. I mean, priority undrafted free agent level, like Irv Mulligan from Jackson State, phenomenal running back, but that's another position where it's pretty deep and the high is really high in that regard. So it's going to be difficult for him to get drafted. His relative athletic score is a 6.46, and I want to give a quick shout out to Gerald Huggins from Draft HBCU Players, and who also works with Zach McKinnell and FCS Football Central for gathering a lot of this information. Another guy that a lot of folks are really hype about is Aaron Smith from South Carolina State. Some people think he might get drafted, man, but that boils down to the name recognition and the record and name recognition of the institution. Because South Carolina State historically has not had a problem getting players in the National Football League in that regard. They tend to be pretty consistent in getting players coming from there, and some players at all pro levels. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes. He was well at his pro day. He ran a 4.69, 35 on his vertical jump and 10 foot 3 inches on the broad jump. 6.17 relative athletic score for him. Wish it was higher. Now the reason why he might possibly get drafted is because the weak side linebacker spot is not, the class isn't that deep at the linebacker position, so there's a potential there. There's a lot more tweeners coming to the league nowadays that can do multiple positions at the linebacker spot. So at the weak side linebacker, not too many prospects, so there's a possibility that somebody might take a flyer on him later. But we'll see with Aaron Smith. But he's got a shot. My man Kenny Gallup from Howard, he's at the safety position. It'll be interesting to see what opportunity he's going to get. I do believe he will get signed as an undrafted free agent. So it'll be fascinating to see how far he will go with regards to that. He didn't get invited to the only player that got invited to the NFL Combine from HBCU standpoint was Vincent. Everybody else, some folks got invited to the HBCU Combine. So it'll be interesting to see how he does But he has a shot. I mean, he'll probably be more of a closer to the line type of safety. He'd be a box safety from that regard. But he did test pretty well. Because he made the decision not to test at the combine, but he did test pretty well at his pro day. James Burmans for Alabama State. I like this guy a lot. He's a cornerback. He's a trusted taste guy. He's the Aeneas Williams Award winner from 2024. He didn't perform at the HBCU Combine, but he did well at the Legacy Bowl, and they were his testing wasn't as good as it needed to be. But film don't lie, and I think that's going to be a classic example. I've talked to multiple players, multiple scouts, and multiple coaches when it comes to that. And whenever there's a player that don't necessarily do so well with the testing, they look at the film. And even if and also when a player does do really well, they also look at the film to see if it matches what they did in testing, because a lot of times those don't always match. But you know, a lot of folks always say that film don't lie, and so his film gives him that opportunity from that regard. Another guy is Philip Weld from Jackson State. He's the edge rusher. He's the under the radar guy. I think that he has a legitimate shot to be undrafted free agent, and I think he'll probably get a chance to get a mini camp. He's definitely going to get a mini camp invite. Drafted free agent is going to be tough sledding, but we'll see with regards to that. Now, I know somebody asked about Bowler, Kendall Bowler. It's going to be interesting, man. Like he had a 4.59 40-yard dash. His relative athletic score, his RAS could have been a little bit higher. He had a 4.99. The film says that he can play at the NFL level. All right, I'm going to check and see if Brandon can make it in here. Come on. Come on. Brandon, are you here, buddy? Oh, man, you're receptive. Rough, buddy. How you doing, man? Brandon over here struggling. All right, I'm gonna take you out because all right. So let me see. Let's try this one more time. Hey, Brandon, can you hear us, man? Brandon, can you hear us, man? You good? All right. I'm gonna take the last break. We're gonna try one more time with Brandon, and then we'll close out the show after the final break. So we'll be right back after this final break. I want to talk a little bit more about Bowler, and some of these other guys. There ain't too many left that I want to discuss, but we'll take that. And we'll be right back. This is Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Source Lab, episode 652.
Planning an event? From weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural tastes, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjeventsllc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app. as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Welcome back to Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, episode 652. This is the Indy Report. Man, Brandon, the internet beat Brandon today. The internet won against Brandon today, but it's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna get ready to go ahead and get ready to close out this show. But like I wanted to thank you guys for watching, and I also want you guys to as I close, and you know what, I should probably pull up what's been going on in the baseball land for A&T real fast. They did beat Radford last night 8-7, but they did lose their series against Delaware over the weekend. Currently, North Carolina A&T is currently 8-7 overall in the CAA. Well, 8-7 in the conference in the CAA, 14-25 overall. They are one game back from second place. There's a three-way tied for third. So we have Northeastern at 13-2, dominating the conference right now. They have a 4-game lead against UNCW, and William and Mary, who are tied at 9-6. Delaware, Stony Brook, and A&T are all tied at 8-7. Top 6 teams makes the CAA playoffs. So A&T's in the thick of it, but they're only one game away from falling out of the top 6. So it's going to be imperative for them to start winning some more series. Against Delaware, they beat them 16-9 in the first game. Game 2 they lost 7-10, and game 3 they lost 1-11. They did beat Radford, which was an out-of-conference game at 8-7, but they have a 3-game series this weekend against Elon starting on Friday. So it's going to be imperative for them to take advantage of that and beat Elon. So it's going to be fascinating to see how the Aggies do as they continue on in this baseball track. Now, as for softball, the Lady Aggies there are not doing as well. They're kind of struggling a little bit. They're 2-19 overall in conference and 10-34 overall. They've only won one series so far this year, and that was against Townsend. They got swept against Elon over the weekend. They just recently beat Presbyterian 5-1. And this weekend up they have Hampton. So hopefully that might be an opportunity to try to get a series. Because after that they close out the season against Charleston, which is 5th in the conference. I believe the top 6 teams also make it in the softball tournament as well. And based on the mathematics, A&T cannot turn this around to get in. They have too many losses in the docket, which is unfortunate. So after the regular season ends, that'll be that with regards to A&T. Now Hampton's 4-17 overall. 4-17 in conference, 14-29 overall. So Hampton is doing a little bit better than A&T, but we're talking 2 games, so A&T might actually have an opportunity to. Now let's see if Brandon can get in here. Brandon, what's up, man? Now you're muted. Finally, you're here. You're here.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. Look, man, you out here in these gyms with no reception, man. You got to do better.
Man, the gym won't let me be great today.
That's fair enough.
Let me be great.
That's fair. Now, I'll ask you, man. So, what do you think of these potential NFL prospects? We're going to go back to the NFL. These HBCU prospects that got a chance to get drafted. We got a couple guys that got a shot.
Honestly, I kind of feel the way you feel. I think are all three of the guys that you named NFL caliber? Absolutely. Should they get drafted? Absolutely. Will they? Will all of them? No. And we know that. We know that with our schools and with our players, a lot of times we're financially behind the eight ball, from a visual standpoint, from a perception standpoint, no matter how talented we may be. And, we've seen it so many times that guys who perform better than maybe players who have a better known jersey on in college, they get overlooked, and they have to start working hard, outworking everybody from day one just to get half the notice. So I think we're probably going to go at best 1 for 3 of the 3 guys that you referenced earlier. So I suspect to see them if the NFL, how that process is going to go. We'll definitely see them making noise in either the UFL, if that's what they're calling it this week, or the CFL or somewhere, because those brothers are too talented to be sitting at the house.
Yeah, now I think I'm going to be honest, man. I think those 3 individuals are going to make NFL rosters. It's just a matter of the path.
Yeah.
Like I think it's a matter of the path. Like I don't think it's that impossible for undrafted free agents to make the roster. I know, like I can speak for somebody to cover the Panthers. We had FCS players that made our roster, made the 53. So I don't think it's out of the realm that a couple players from an HBCU make some NFL rosters. Now, I didn't mention Jada Byers from Virginia Union, which is going to be a fascinating one to see how he does. But the running back position is pretty deep in this draft, so I think he's going to have to get a camp invite and then show why he should be drafted, why he should be have an opportunity to get on an NFL roster, get signed. Like I think, it's sometimes at the mercy of the position. Shoquan Davis from the school down the road is another one. It's hard for me to give credit where it's due, but he's another one. I don't think he'll get drafted. Some people think he's got a priority free agent chance, but I'm not fully there yet. But I think he should definitely get an opportunity. He probably will get signed after draft as an undrafted free agent after the draft.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of activity from HBCU guys on that undrafted the undrafted free agent market. And like I said, it's going to be interesting to see where some of these guys go, particularly, like you just mentioned, Jada Byers, who we've watched for years. And I'm like, this dude's a pro. Mm-hmm. He is absolutely a pro. I mean, if he went to the University of Virginia or Virginia Tech, this wouldn't even be a question. It would just be when and how he's going to be able to come in and make an impact. So it's like I said, he's going to be one of those guys that's going to have to probably go that UDFA path. But I think with Jada Byers, once he gets in, the team that's going to get him, they're getting a dude. They're absolutely getting a dude.
I'll say this, since we're talking about running backs. There's a guy that played in North Carolina A&T for a couple of years, and he decided to transfer to Virginia Tech 2 years ago. And they're saying day 2. He's probably gonna get drafted in the 2nd or the 3rd round, and that's Bishal Tootin at Virginia Tech. So that does matter, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they'll find you if you're good enough. They always do. That hasn't changed, because I legitimately think that we might have more FCS players get drafted in this draft than G5 players. So they'll find you. There's a guy that's in the FC, there's a guy in the FCS that's going to get drafted in the 1st round. And the number 1 overall pick started in the FCS. Matter of fact, 2 of the top 3 picks of that draft tomorrow started in the FCS. And that's Travis Hunter and Cam Ward. One was an HBCU at Jackson State. Won the Heisman. His name's gonna be called probably in number 2, number 3 at the latest. At the latest. Like it's gonna be fun watching the draft because there's a lot of A lot of churn, more churn than normal. Curious to see where Shedeur goes. Getting kind of worried about that. Legitimately getting worried about that.
Yeah, I didn't have time to read the story, and you know, around this time of year, stories are always coming out. But the ever popular anonymous NFL, you saw you know what I'm talking
We're
about?
good for bro. Look, man, one thing one thing a coach can do is be anonymous. And here we are.
Yep.
And it's a shame because it happens every year. Every year, never fails.
I think
Never fails.
Stand on it. Don't be anonymous. Stand on business. Say it with your chest.
Oh no, they're not gonna risk that now. They're not
about a player. Obviously not.
They're not gonna risk that, Brandon. I'm with you though. They need to stand on business. They need to stand on business. But I think right now, the way that things are falling, I don't anticipate the Giants nor the Browns taking him that early. I think the Giants, if somebody was going to do it, it's probably the Giants. But I think it becomes a value issue at that point. So because at that point you're either going to end up with Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. Like you're going to end up with one of those two guys, right? So yeah, I could see him go to the Saints at 9, but it sounds like the Saints aren't going to do it based on reports that I've been paying attention to, that I've been seeing. Now the Steelers, that's where in the 20s, that's when it gets interesting. And then you might have a scenario of somebody trading back in to come get him. Because the 5th-year option is valuable in the NFL.
They need a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting. It's going to give a lot of people a lot of things to talk about before, obviously, during, and then after the draft. We see when, where, and why. But I can tell you, living here in Tennessee, they were not talking about drafting him. And considering how quarterbacks have done here, they probably don't want to come to the time. That would not be the ideal spot for him.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there, man. Like, I don't think he should. Like, I want Shedeur to succeed, so I don't want him. Truth be told, and I'm a firm believer in this. Sometimes it doesn't pay to be drafted in the top 5 of a draft because that means you're going to a really bad team, which means they're not ready for you most likely. So you kind of like the Steelers would be the perfect destination for him. You go to a team that's had really good success, ain't had a losing season in almost 20 years, and then you have a coach in Mike Tomlin who knows how to get it done. You have a pretty good offensive line in front of you, something you never had your entire college career, and you get to actually have the opportunity to be a quarterback. That man almost got sacked 100 times
and I think
in his collegiate career, man.
I don't think people. That's a lot. That's a lot of hits.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of hits, and that's not the hurries and the knockdowns and all those things. That's a lot of punishment. And we look at how many quarterbacks have we seen careers shortened, ruined before they ever got started because they spent more time up at the sky than they did down the field.
What we call it seeing ghosts, Brandon. They're seeing ghosts because you get hit so much, you get to the point where you don't trust your pocket, and then if you don't trust your pocket, you just seeing ghosts. You're seeing ghosts, and you're about to be out. You're about to. All right, you're Brandon. You did the good deed, my man.
I did my best.
Yeah, you did. You did all right. All right, you're clearing up right now because we're getting ready to close the show anyway. But you're clearing up right now. But now it's fascinating right now, man. It's fascinating about how this is going to go with him. I kind of hope. I don't want him to fall that far, but if he's going to fall that far, Pittsburgh is perfect for him.
Yeah, I agree. I think if he does, you want to see him in a situation like I said where he can succeed.
Mm-hmm.
If he goes to some of those other teams, chances are he'll look like a match unit before.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Now, I will say if the Giants,
David Card out here.
yeah, nah, I feel you. Now, if the Giants come back and get him, I wouldn't be that mad about it. Or if the Browns decide to come back and get him, or if some other teams decide or the Saints, I wouldn't be as mad. But they're still gonna have to protect him. So it'll be fascinating to see what happens. But I'm gonna go ahead and close the show, man. Brandon, I appreciate you being able to pull up. And you need to go talk to that gym and tell them to get some better reception in that gym, man. Like you got some tough sledding over here in the gym streets. All right, let me go ahead and close out the show. Let me see here. All right, thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends or colleagues. We look forward to you next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at ChampD1012. Check out Brandon King at SneakerShopTalk.com. Make sure you follow Dr. Kenyatta Cavil on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Follow Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook and Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Dream big and continue to move forward. We'll talk to you soon. Brandon. All right. Course, lecture, dismissed.